We have historically first through AFLAC, and then we transitioned in 2009 to First Trust of Mid-America to offer a 125 plan, cafeteria flexible savings account plan for our employees, which allows them to set aside dollars on a pre-tax basis to fund either dependent care expenses or unreimbursed medical care expenses. We made the transition to First Trust. They had better, their administration fees were comparable to AFLAC, and they offered a better service. The employees were provided with debit cards, which they were allowed to swipe at pharmacies, doctor's offices, and then they just submitted their receipts, so the employees just didn't have to actually go out of pocket for qualified expenses. The turnaround time in terms of reimbursements for employees was is 24 hours. With First Trust, it would sometimes take up to a week. With AFLAC, we've been very pleased with their service. With the passage of the health reform legislation earlier this year, they've made 125 plans have some changes that are coming down the road. The change that is effective for 2011 is no longer allowing over-the-counter medications to be a qualified reimbursable expense on the medical reimbursement side. They hadn't been previously. Then several years ago, they changed the legislation and allowed for over-the-counter medications to be reimbursed under the plans. They changed their minds and gone back to saying that those are disqualified. So,
as of what date?
January 1st, 2011. And so we need to amend our plan documents to reflect the legislative changes. Since it's an IRS mandated change, there isn't a plan amendment fee. First Trust will take care of that. Looking forward, in January of 2013, historically the federal government had set a cap on the dependent care reimbursement side at $5,000 annually, and they had left it up to the employer to set the unreimbursed medical costs. Last year we recommended and the council approved a change, and it increased ours to $5,000 a year. Again, health care reform legislation is now mandating a cap on the medical reimbursement side. That doesn't become effective until January 2013. So we're recommending to leave our cap at $5,000 until such time as we would be required to bring that down. It just allows the employees to maximize their pre-tax savings. The administrative costs on the plan are, I think I put this, did I not put this in here? Basically, we save, I think the administrative costs are about $3,000 a year by allowing the employees to set aside their contributions on a pre-tax basis. We also save the FICA taxes that we pay, and so we save, in 2010, we had about $96,000 that annually that were run through the plan, which saved us about $7,600 in taxes that we have to pay. So it's still a benefit to the city to be able to offer this plan to our employees. So there would be a resolution that would approve the amendments to our flexible benefits plan and our summary plan description, removing the over-the-counter prescription as a reimbursable expense.
Any questions? Yes, John.
Laura, since you're asking the committee to take it to council to vote on something that's going to affect employees, have you all sat down and had any meetings with the employees and discussed some of this with them so they know what's going on, instead of us blindsiding them and saying, no, the council said this? Have you people actually had any meetings with the employees to discuss any of this program?
We have historically, I mean, this is not a new program for the employees, and the employees, in fact, the change that we brought forward to increase the contribution on the medical reimbursement side last year was directly a result of requests that we had from employees wanting to be able to increase the amount that they contributed to the plans.
Okay, so you're going back by for, you haven't had any recent on what you got in front of us right now.
It's just a new provider. It's not even
no, it's not even a new provider. This is an amendment to the plan that's required by federal legislation, which we have, and the employees have absolutely no control over. So the option would be, don't offer a plan at all, or amend our plan documents to be consistent with the new federal legislation.
Okay, but having been in situations myself at times, it's nice to have somebody sometimes sit down and explain it to them a little bit ahead of time of what's going on. We're doing this because we have to do it, instead of just saying, here it is, the council did this. I mean,
Well,
that's one of the big problems we've got, because I hear constantly from a lot of them, they don't ever tell us nothing. After all, they are employees. And I think, personally, I think they have a right, like I should hear some of this stuff. I mean, what would it take for people that know it just to have a short meeting with them sometime, around lunchtime or something?
Well, we do conduct annual open enrollment meetings, and we provide them with all of the information. And we have, in the last couple of years, we have used our Employee Wellness and Safety Committee to look at the benefit renewals.
Okay.
They did not look at the renewals this year, primarily because we were it's a little bit of a balancing act, I'll be perfectly honest, because the more we take out and the more options we put out to the employees ahead of time, then we can't commit, because we have to bring to you the options and what you're willing to fund and what benefits you're willing to offer to them.
Not necessarily. It's just informing them, here it is. This is what's going to happen. No, it's just, to me, it's just common courtesy. That tell them that this is what we're looking at. I mean, we don't have to give them the choice, but we're just informing them on what we are going to have to do. That's my point.
Okay.
Okay?
Anybody want to make a recommendation?
Recommend that the resolution approving the amendments to the City of Mission Flexible Benefits Plan and the summary plan description be forwarded to council for consideration/approval.
John?
Take it to council, not on the consent agenda, though. I think it needs to be discussed.
Okay, it's Laura again. It's the Laura show.